Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm just going to be doing a short little video talking all about audiobooks and like some tips and like different ways to read them, and just hopefully it'll be like a helpful little guide to audiobooks. So basically the first thing I want to talk about is like, where do you get your audiobooks? Because everyone just seems to have them, but if you've never really used audiobooks a lot before, you might not know. So I would say the main place I use is Audible, although it is Amazon affiliated essentially, so not the best, but I think it's a good service. So essentially Audible, they do different plans. The basic one I think in the UK is like £7.99 a month, and then you get 1 credit per month. And this is starting to sound like an advert, I just realised. But yeah, so that, and then you get to keep the audiobooks with Audible. So even if you only get it for like 1 month and then cancel it, you get that book that you got forever. And there's various different things. So I have the like 24 books a year plan, which is quite a lot cheaper. It works out to only about £4 a book, which is actually really good for an audiobook. So yeah, so there's various things like that you can use. And you get to keep the audiobooks and you can return them, which I maybe do a bit too much. But yeah, that's a kind of good way to save money if you didn't like the book. Although I think it does kind of harm the author. But also if it's like a super famous author, I don't feel bad about it because it's like, they're rich enough already. That's Audible. That's one place to get audiobooks. Then there's also Scribd, who me and Scribd have a bit of a toxic relationship. But they're essentially a subscription service where you pay, I can't remember, I don't even know how much it is now because we've broken up. But I think it's about £8 or £9 a month. And you get access to all their titles, but you don't get to keep them. And you generally get to read about, I would say like 2 or 3, like completely of any of them. And then they have like slightly less popular ones, which you can read once you've like reach your limit. Because I read a lot of audiobooks, I always reach my limit every month, so then it just felt a bit like I'm paying for it and I can't keep the books. But if you only listen to like 1 or 2 audiobooks a month, that might be quite good, because then you get slightly more books for less money essentially, although you don't get to keep them. So it's tables and I don't know what that analogy was. Tables and chairs. What's the phrase I'm thinking of? I don't know. Swings and roundabouts, maybe. Anyway, yeah, and with Scribd you also can get like ebooks as well. So I guess if you use it, I think, to its maximum potential, it is good value for money. But I just kept getting frustrated with it, and I kept having too many free trials. It's good, you actually get your free trials, and then you can, because all these services have free trials, I think, so you can get on that. So yeah, so Scribd is essentially like a library service that you pay for, and you don't get to keep the books, but you do get access to like all their titles, and you can listen to multiple books per month for the one like payment. But they don't have every single book out there. That's the other drawback to Scribd. But also, this is still me sounding like an Audible advert. I'm sorry. But okay, anyway, Audible does have its disadvantages, like it's Amazon. Another service, I think, especially if you're in the US, is Libro FM. So they are good because they're essentially like Audible. I think it works the same. You pay a set amount a month and you get a credit, and then you get to keep that book forever. But it's not associated with Amazon, and it supports, I believe, like independent bookshops, which is great. But Libro FM isn't the easiest to get in the UK, so that's the only thing. I don't use that much, but I do use that ALC program that they have for like book influencers. So you basically just have to like sign up once, and then every month they have about like 7 or 8 audiobooks that you can download for free that are like new releases that month. I don't always get them because they're often not books I'm interested in, but like every other month I would say there's definitely at least one title that I like the sound of and that I want to read. So I would definitely say it's worth it if you are a book influencer and you want free audiobooks to review. So yeah, like the recent one I listened to was The Inheritance of Orchidea Divina, which was really good actually. I'm glad I listened to it because I probably might not have read it or listened to it otherwise if it hadn't been like an ALC. So that's another thing to, if you want more audiobooks. And then there is also Libby, which is like the thing where you plug in your library card details and then it like gives you access to the library, all the audiobooks the library has, and then you can like rent them from the library. So that's completely free. I think that is another thing that's a bit bigger in the US, because in the UK libraries don't tend to have that many audiobooks. Or I think if you're in London you would be quite good, but libraries in parts of the UK aren't the best. But that is another option, especially if you want it completely free. And then there's always pirating, although I don't actually know how you would pirate audiobooks. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have no other choice, then that's an option. How else can you listen to audiobooks? NetGalley now have audiobooks. If you listen to early review copies and things, sometimes books are available on audio, although I will say actually NetGalley audiobooks can sometimes be a bit strange. Like they often have this, I actually quite like it because it's almost like ASMR, but they have this strange like tinny quality to them. So yeah, be careful with NetGalley audiobooks actually, that's the thing. I would say they're the main like places to listen to audiobooks. You can also, YouTube have some audiobooks which is probably not 100% legal, but it's YouTube, so the person who put them on there is doing the illegal activity. So if you listen to them, then that's not your fault. No, so a lot of the like fantasy classics are on there, like the Blade itself, whatever that series is called, First Law is on there, Name of the Wind is on there. Yes, so sometimes I find if I'm struggling to get through a big fantasy book, I'll go on YouTube because I don't want to buy the audiobook, but because I already have the physical book, but I just want to get through it a bit faster. Yeah, so that's another thing actually, like how do you listen to audiobooks? So you can listen to the audiobook just by itself, which is what I generally do, and you can change the speed of the audiobook. So like, I started off listening to them at like 1x speed, but then as you get a bit more experience with listening to audiobooks, you can like speed them up a little bit. And now like 1x speed sounds way too slow to me. So I tend to listen to them at 2x speed. And that's like a good pace for me. Like I can follow it easily. I can hear all the words being said. And it doesn't sound like they're talking like this. It just sounds a bit more like at the pace you would read it in your head type thing. But some people like to listen to it more slowly, and that's completely fine. Like, you're not a better person if you listen to audiobooks faster. But you're also not a better person if you listen to audiobooks slower. It's just personal preference. But I do think audiobooks are a great way of reading, and I love like listening to them just like on the walk or on the train or like doing cooking or baking. I just think it's great because you're like listening to a book, and I feel like listening is like the original form of storytelling. So yeah, it's just fun to listen, and I don't know. And I would recommend when you first start with audiobooks, maybe start with like shorter ones, because for some reason I like listening to big fantasy audiobooks. I actually prefer that to reading them physically, but like it's really intimidating when you first start to like listen to like a 30-hour audiobook. That's like, whoa, that's like over a day of my life. So yeah, I would tend to start with like shorter ones, and then that's easier to like get into, and then that way, even if you're listening to it like 1x speed for only an hour a day, it's only going to take you like 2 weeks to read. There's a pigeon flying right in my window there. It's only going to take you like 2 weeks to read a kind of 10-12 hour audiobook. So yeah, that would be a recommendation for like getting into them. And yeah, starting at 1x speed. Don't start at 2x speed because it'll just sound like that. But if you slowly work up, because I think like I went to 1.25 and then 1.5 and then 1.75, and you also find certain narrators narrate at different speeds as well. So yeah, that's another tip. Find some narrators that you like and then find other audiobooks that way. I found like quite a few audiobooks by just searching the narrator's name and then seeing other books that they've narrated. And I always get excited if I see like a narrator I know reading the book, and I'll be like, oh, that's definitely more tempting to me. Yeah, and on that kind of same point, don't let a bad narrator put you off. So if the first audiobook you listen to, you're like, oh, I hate this, it might not be the audiobook, it might be the narrator. So just give a few audiobooks a try, because often it can be very narrator dependent. So yeah, that's another tip. And then I think I was originally talking about how to read audiobooks, so listening to them by themselves, and also some people like to read audiobooks at the same time as reading it physically, so I think that's another thing. I do that on occasion with like really big fantasy books that I'm struggling to get through, or sometimes I'll just alternate between like reading a bit physically and then listening to the audiobook a bit, and back and forth. I do think I sometimes don't, I think sometimes personally, if I'm reading and listening at the same time, I don't concentrate on either. So that doesn't always work for me that well. But I think what I do sometimes, yeah, like that combo of I listen to like a few chapters on audio and then read a few chapters physically type thing. So yeah, I'm trying to think of any other like audiobook tips that I would have wanted to know before I started listening. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for today. If you have any questions about audiobooks, definitely leave them in the comments and I will reply to you with all my tips. I feel like I'm an audiobook veteran. I've been listening for like 4 years or something, which isn't really that long, but I do love audiobooks and I listen to them quite a lot. I'd say probably about half my reading is audiobooks. So yeah, it's great, and it's a great way to read more books. And it's a great way actually to read books in a more social way, because like you say if you were in the car like on a road trip or just on a journey, or even just sat in your house, you could be like playing it on a speaker and 2 people could be listening at the same time, which I think would be really fun. I don't think I've ever actually done that with anyone, but yeah, I think that would be good as well. So yeah, that is my tips and tricks for audiobooks. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful and didn't just sound like an Audible advert. Yeah, and that is everything. And also if you have any like tips or tricks, then definitely let me know in the comments, and then other people can see them as well. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a really great day, and I'll see you next time.